Hello and welcome back to PowerWash Simulator. When we last left off, we were cleaning the subway. And it has been a veritable dog's age since I have played last. But now that we are out of the really hot period, I no longer really have to worry about being able to sit down and record. It is no longer 1,000,001 degrees outside, so it's nice to actually be able to sit down and record again. Let's clean this while we're at it. There we go. I guess it has been a while. And maybe a little bit of me needing to reacclimate to the process. So I do hope you will forgive me. There we go. For needing to take a few extra minutes to reacclimate. I have gotten the opportunity to just sort of post on what I was doing. I wished I'd perhaps started recording again a little sooner, but you know, things happen. And in the meantime, we are going to clean the platform floor. Let's see. I always liked the way these things look. They always look like giant Lego blocks to me. Incidentally enough, they do actually technically serve a purpose. They are, I believe they're supposed to be for, I believe they're supposed to be for people with visual impairments, to be able to differentiate when they're stepping into, like, dangerous paths. Those are the bumps that you see on curbs. I'd always wondered, I had for years wondered what they were, because I remember we didn't have them. And I remember when they started first cropping up. Because as it turns out, I am actually older than the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act here in the US, which is what has brought these to be used. Though I do know that they are a bit tricky for wheelchair users to navigate, which is a bit of a bummer. I hope maybe people can come to, I don't want to say a compromise, because it's not really compromising. It's finding a middle ground, I guess, would be a good way to put it. So people with visual impairments can still have have something that would help them navigate spaces like the edge of the street, while simultaneously making sure wheelchair users don't get stuck. Oh, that, right. There we go. Now we can go back over here and we can start taking on this wall. I want it to match as closely as possible, which means that we'll also be doing the these on the side as well. But I am actually remembering the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite art piece? I think I mentioned before, and if I haven't, I will say so now. My favorite piece of art is actually Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith slaying Holofernes, whose name I'm not entirely certain I'm pronouncing correctly. It is a depiction of the biblical story of Judith and her saving her people. She is brought before Holofernes, who is the general of an invading army who has set camp, I believe, just outside of the village that Judith lives in. And I believe he is also responsible, or at least the invasion is responsible for the death of Judith's husband. And she, I think depending on the story, gets him drunk and then beheads him. I'm not entirely certain. I think it varies from telling to telling. But she uses what she has on hand to, handle the situation, and there is a level of brutality to Gentileschi's rendition of the painting that you don't really get out of a lot of the other renditions. One version you see a lot is actually Caravaggio's, and don't get me wrong, it's like technically beautiful and all that, but it feels very kind of, it's lacking that rage, is probably a good way to put it. It is lacking that level of rage that Gentileschi's version has. And like I said, I don't mind the piece, but it feels kind of like a cop-out, especially if you look at the way that Judith in his version is standing and how her maid is, kind of encouraging her, egging her on, as opposed to the Gentileschi's version. It's a very different feel to it. I think it's a really rad piece. A lot of other really great art pieces that I like, but the one that immediately stands out is in fact that one. It's art. And I have art opinions. I actually went to school. I made it part of the way through my bachelor's degree. in studio art. I maybe one day, if you know fortunes change and I can wrap my brain around being in school again, I might go back and finish it. I might end up changing my concentration though, because like I like being a studio art major. I don't mind it at all, but I think I'm officially effectively done with graphic design. I don't again, I don't mind the field. It's not a bad field. Um but I don't know if I want to continue pursuing that professionally. I think, yep, that's what I thought. Just a second. I have fur on my top deck here. Oh, that's quite a lot of fur, actually. How did I not notice that? Okay. I was wondering why the mouse was drifting like that. Now I know. But, we're down here now, so, maybe let's clean the wall. I was wondering why it was jumping around like that, and could not, for the life of me, put my finger on it, on the definitive reason why. So I figured, let's have a look. But like I was saying, I don't mind the field of graphic design. I think the issue that I've been having as far as things go is I can't 100% say that that was actually what I wanted to do. I think, realistically speaking, what I really wanted was I wanted to go into art. And kind of got pushed into doing graphic design because I was decent at it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to turn every little thing that you're decent at into a career path. That's how you come to hate stuff. And I don't want to hate graphic design. I think it's, I wouldn't go so far as to say graphic design is my passion, with that, that joke. But I do like it. I do like how interesting a field it can be. But realistically speaking, I can't say I love working with clients. Directly or indirectly. Which is really rather a shame because it is a very client-heavy field, focused field. That's something they don't tell you. So if you're looking to get into graphic design, do know it is a very client-heavy field. You're going to be catering to the whims of people who don't actually know what they want. I think I may have mentioned that before, though. They don't know what they want, but they know they don't want that. There we go. Get some more cleaning done. Okay. Okay. Uh, we do have to clean these two walls. You know, I could have actually done this while I was over here the first time, but, you know. It still pains me to clean up all the graffiti, though. Boulder City. There we go. Yeah, man. There we go. There we are. I've been kind of thinking about, and I know I say this with a fair amount of frequency, but I've been kind of thinking about the games that I intend to play on the channel. And given the circumstances, how because I'm still unemployed, but how I intend to carry on with games on the channel. And also the fact that now that I'm thinking about it, I realize that I'm actually, in a couple months, I'm going to be taking a bit of a break. I have some health stuff that I have to take care of, and it does mean that I am not going to be able to play for a little while. And hopefully, like, I can build enough of a backlog up that it's not an issue. So I don't want to say that it's going to be, but on the off chance that I can't build a backlog up, it's as a heads up. It's the beginning of December, I will be away for minimum a couple of weeks. And I wanted to put that out there now, so partially so I don't forget, and partially so if I don't have a backlog built up by then, I will definitively be done with this game, I think, by maybe late October. I'm not entirely sure. I have to remember to sit down and figure out how much more of the game I have left. But I do believe I'll have moved on to the next game by then. And to quell any concerns, it's not a serious issue. It's just I will have to be down for a little while. And for the most part, I'm just excited to get it over with. I won't go into details, though. Yeah, I think that works a little better. There we go. But I don't expect to start working again until sometime next year. Which means that a lot of the plans that I may have had between needing to go out for health reasons and currently not working, things are looking a little grim as far as things go. I will continue recording up until I kind of can't anymore. But for the most part, I may actually genuinely have to change how I do things. Right now, I'm paying for Game Pass, and I may have to stop. Which bums me out, because I've mentioned before, I really actually enjoy having it, because it means being able to play games that I wouldn't ordinarily have access to. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's still incredibly filthy. E- Um, let's switch to that, and we're gonna switch to that. That's multi-purpose, which we have. Get an extension on there. There we go. I know we're gonna have to like pull that out again. That again, and I think maybe just go with the wider nozzle, because I think that's part of the problem. But I did mention that I am a touch bummed by the idea of having to eventually give up Game Pass, because it's a really useful service. I don't think I can afford it anymore, which is extra insulting because it's only $10 and change a month. But like I said, I am not currently working, and a little bit of money I do have, I have to kind of hold on to, because back to this one, because it's cutting through stuff better, and just kind of slow down a bit. Alright, where is it? Uh, eh? There we go. Actually, what? Equipment. Uh, I can actually swing that one, so we're gonna get that one. Because we're gonna need it. If for no other reason than the ceiling. While we're at it, let's start doing that. There we go. But yeah, just kind of a myriad of things at the moment. But I'm trying not to complain. I don't have a whole lot to complain about, honestly, but it can kind of be easy to fall into that trap of complaining about innocuous things, and I try not to, because like there's nothing wrong with voicing concerns and voicing frustrations, but there's a difference between voicing those frustrations and whining. And I'm frustrated, yes, but I'm trying very hard not to whine about it. And that's something that can be a bit of an easy trap to fall into, if I'm being completely honest. So, look at the bright side. Not having access to Game Pass would mean that I have to play all of the games I do have, and there are quite a few. And I have to sit down and figure out what games would work best for the channel. Something that wouldn't take 1,000,001 videos to finish, I would imagine. I think. And something that's easy to record, that doesn't require extra, extra steps. And, all that good stuff. I do believe I mentioned that I think along a short hike is, I keep wanting to call it a long walk. That's a Jill Scott song. I think a short hike might be on that definitive list. Still have to figure out whether or not I can do the Lego Batman games. I have to boot them up and see if they actually work. Because I remember back a while ago I had intended to play them and I couldn't. I think it was a DirectX issue that I was having, but I couldn't get them to play. Or I could get them to play, but I couldn't get them to play right. And I think that was the issue. I think that's why I originally abandoned the idea. There we go. Now, we move on and keep going. But, I think I kind of just abandoned the idea of, making that list of games that I have available publicly. Not for any real reason other than I genuinely cannot get myself to remember. I will walk away from my computer and all traces of it will immediately evaporate out of my brain. So, I think maybe that is just, the powers that be going, no, don't do that to yourself. And I'm inclined to listen. It should be hitting 40% really soon. Construction began on the Muckingham to Caldera City branch line in 1920, funded by local businessman Wilberforce Thrust, who was keen to provide an efficient means of transporting his workforce from the city to thriving cattle ranches. It was finally unveiled by Mayor Jefferson X, who tragically passed away the self-same day from an incident related to the station's substandard something. I completely didn't catch that last bit. Whatever it said it. We're nearly done with this section of the ceiling. Actually kind of reminds me of the MTA, honestly. I am not a New Yorker. I've been down to New York exactly once, and that was nearly 30 years ago at this rate. That is a whole lot to say. There we go. But yeah, like I've been down to New York exactly once, and that was again nearly 30 years ago at this point. What we're gonna do is we are going to do this. There we go. A little faster. I have heard nothing but complaints from people who ride the train down in New York about a lot of things, but a lot of it is directly related to the MTA's handling of practically everything. The MTA and the mayor's office, of course. You know, I know that the fares have gone up to nearly $3, and I distinctly remember somebody going, I would rather they just charge the full $3, because what is this $2.90 nonsense? And I say this as somebody who lives in a city with actually pretty cheap public transit. Transit should be free. You get a lot of people who are like, well, if it's free, then it's bad. It's going to be bad service. It's bad service when you're paying for it anyway. Like, I would rather free bad service than paid bad service, because at least when it's free, I don't have much expectation going into the situation. But when I'm paid, I just feel insulted. we go. You know, I don't want to pay for bad service. I shouldn't have to pay for bad service. And there are a lot of changes that my local transit system is making that are absolutely bonkers. But it's not nearly as bad as what the MTA is doing. And it seems to be kind of across the board an issue. Which is really rather unfortunate. Okay. But, like I said, you know, I would rather free bad service than paid bad service, because paying for it when it's bad is just insulting. It's like buying bad food. You know, there's nothing quite like buying food and it's disgusting. And now you're mad because you spent all that money and it's disgusting. And I don't mean like you paid all this money and you don't like it. That happens occasionally. Like, is this a case of... No, I don't think so. Oh, right, it's continuous. My mistake. I forgot that unlike the section of floor, the ledge is actually continuous. There we go. That's the ledge taken care of. And of course we have to get all the way over here. But, you know, having bought food that just was gross, like, it's always really frustrating. It's like, this was expensive and this is not good. It's just kind of a, yep, nope, that's certainly some money I just wasted. And I'm beginning to feel like a lot of people feel the same way about public transit system here in the States. You know, there's nothing quite like waiting out in the cold only to be passed by half a dozen buses. Or waiting out on a train platform only to end up 3.5 hours late to where you're going because nothing stopped. I don't know if I'm mistaking this for a line in Chicago, but I distinctly remember... Well, no, it's definitely a line in Chicago, because I think, like, there's an issue with one of the train lines just constantly catching on fire. And before anybody makes any disparaging remarks about Chicago, please don't. Like, a lot of the issues that Chicago's dealing with is, like, severe. It's money. Does Chicago have a violence problem? Yes, it kind of does, but a lot of the issues that Chicago are dealing with are far more complicated and far more nuanced than that. And being as how I am not a Chicagoan. I do not live in Chicago, and I never have. Though I did want to. I don't feel it's really my place to talk about it. Not really the person that's qualified for that conversation. But I think if you're gonna have that conversation, I think the people you should be listening to are Chicagoans, specifically the people who are mostly affected by the situation at hand. Same thing with a lot of issues. The people you should be listening to are the ones that are affected by it. There we go. So if you've got an issue and it's, oh, this group, or that group, or the other group, and they're the ones being targeted, and they're the ones being harassed, and they're the ones being affected, talk to them. Because they're the ones that are going to have a better understanding. This statement partially brought to you by the current political climate of everywhere. I know I said I don't really want to talk politics on the channel, and I want to clarify that I don't not want to talk politics because I want to keep this a politics-free zone. I don't want to talk politics because I don't feel like I have the capacity to have a nuanced discussion on here. Oh, yeah, these videos are an hour long, but, like, it is it is often very complicated. And trying to have deep, nuanced conversations in the comments is kind of like trying to have deep, nuanced conversations on Twitter. It's possible, but jeez, you don't want to. Also inclined to be full of trolls. So, you know, I feel it's important to note that. If for no other reason than, like, I don't want it to be mistaken that I don't care. Because I do care. Like, we are in the middle of some really major action that's going on, and to not have these conversations is to do everyone a disservice. But again, I don't think it is I think it's very difficult to have a nuanced conversation in the comments and on YouTube videos, so I generally avoid talking politics. In some really exciting news, as of when I'm recording this video, so this is late September, the WGA and AMPTP have tentatively reached a deal that would end that strike. They still have yet to go back to the bargaining table with SAG-AFTRA. So we will be waiting on that one. And it should also be noted that it is wholly possible that voice actors will be striking as well. I think that's a conversation that's being had. I don't know if it's a definitive yes. I think they're going up for votes soon. And, of course, the UAW is currently also striking. Though it looks like, I think it's Ford, is currently, like, cooperating or actually attempting to negotiate, which, good for them, but, like, it would have been nice if they'd, done that before. And, had these discussions in good faith. Actually attempted to reasonably bargain. Because I feel like people are like, oh, well, the labor unions, they're doing too much. And it's like, are they really, though? Are they really doing too much, or are you just mad because you're momentarily inconvenienced? I don't know, man. I think working for reasonable wages, striking for reasonable wages is perfectly reasonable. Like, fair compensation shouldn't be something that you have to fight for. It should be a given. But it isn't, and that's why they're striking. They want better pay, and they want better benefits, and you should want that too. Saying that you wouldn't do that just makes you sound like, and it's gotta be said, it makes you sound like a sucker. Like, you're willing to take whatever crumbs that are given to you, and I don't mean in a case of, you're in dire straits and you can, like, your options are limited, so you take the first thing available. I mean, I would never strike because, that doesn't make you amazing or anything, dude. That just makes you a sucker. Don't be a sucker. And I mean that. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a scab. Don't be a sucker. Don't badmouth and talk down the unions that are actually trying to do good work. I could say a thing or two about some other things, but we're gonna keep it at that. Not because of any other reason other than, yeah, I don't feel like having that fight right now. Okay. Oh, and since I've recorded last, the Marvel, I think it's Marvel VFX crews are striking. Or, no, I'm sorry, they're not striking, they've unionized. And I think they're seeking official recognition at this point. Which is awesome. I think more groups should unionize because unions are good, and if you argue that they're not, I would like to remind you that if you were a child and grew up in this country, you didn't work as a child, and unions gave you that, and you have weekends, and unions gave you that. and a million and one, and pardon, that was a bit gross, but a million and one other things unions gave you. Unions put in the hard work. I know I said I was going to stop talking about it, but like, unions put in the hard work. You should recognize that. You should actively be recognizing that. But there is, here in the States, a staunchly anti-union movement going on, and it's actually kind of depressing to see. Because everybody wants to talk about how unions are so bad, and all they do is they take your money. I mean, you wouldn't have any money if it weren't for unions. Like, am I saying all unions are perfect? No. No, I'm not. But, like, it is important to be mindful of the fact that anti-union rhetoric is a talking point that is being used to sucker workers out of to basically take the rights away from workers. Do not fall for it. Do not fall for the anti-union talking points, because falling for the anti-union talking points, you might as well just turn your pockets out, because you are being run for your money. Do not let them do that to you. If you have the capacity to, while we're on the subject, because I'm going to continue harping on about this, as it seems, if you have the capacity to, try and unionize your workplace. I know that's a hefty ask, because, yeah, no, it is. But yeah, no, like, try and unionize. Try and get representation. Because it's important. You know, your boss isn't going to protect you. Especially the ones that tell you that you're like family to them. No, they're the ones that are going to treat you worse. Ask me how I know. And there we go. I think, yeah, I think that's actually where I'm going to call it for today. As a reminder of the question of the day, what is your favorite piece of art? Mine is Judith Slaying Holofernes by Artemisia Gentileschi. But yeah, let me know. That's where we're going to call it for today. So I have been Dorkanaut. This has been PowerWash Simulator, and when we come back, we are going to continue cleaning the subway platform. And if you enjoyed this video, or any of the videos in the series, or any of the videos that I have done ever, consider leaving a like on the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and consider hitting the notification bell so you know when I upload, even if it is really, really regular. I also have a coffee. You can find me at ko-fi.com/Dorkanaut. That is ko-fi.com/Dorkanaut. If you were so inclined to leave a tip, but please do not feel obligated. And, yeah. Come see me again sometime, won't you? Goodbye.